Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Cyrus Webb Presents. I'm your host, Cyrus Webb. So glad you guys could join us once again. For those tuning in on our simulcast on Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube, and on X, we're glad you all can be with us. Going to welcome in our friends over on IG so they can be a part of our conversation. And last but certainly not least, going to bring in our friends over on Amazon Live. And I'm really excited about this next guest. I think you guys are going to enjoy this, not only because of her own story, but also some great anecdotes she's going to share with us as well. We're now live on the Amazon Live platform with Cyrus Webb Presents. If you guys are new to us on Amazon, make sure you guys do hit that follow button, either here in this corner or down below. You also will see the book by our next guest. We're excited to welcome Nikki Nash to our broadcast today. She's the author of this book you guys see, Collateral Stardust. The subtitle of the book is Chasing Warren Beatty and Other Foolish Things. And let me tell you, this book is about a whole lot more than Warren Beatty. I want to talk to Nikki about that, but also what it's been like for her to reflect on her journey up until this point, to be able to discuss the book with others, but also what she hopes you have to take away from it. Nikki, thanks you so much for the time. Really appreciate it.
Oh, thank you. I'm thrilled to be here, Cyrus.
Look, the pleasure is definitely all mine. So the book is now out. You're able to be able to share this story, to share your life literally with the world, Nikki. What has it been like for you to see the response so far?
For me, it's so moving because I wrote a very specific and very intimate book. And I think that's the key to actually reaching people, which I wasn't trying to do. I was just writing a book. And to find that, the 30-year-old women, 70-year-old men are emailing me with stories of their own or having been touched and all that. And it was so affirming that if I just presented exactly who I am, very specifically, people relate to that. Let me turn that off. So that was a moving surprise, and I learned from that,
Nikki, you bring up a really good point right from the very beginning, because I was saying to you before we went live here, one of the things that is so fascinating to me is that you are someone who seemed to have gotten to a place early on where you were pretty clear about, for one, the boundaries you wanted to set, but also who you were. What was that like for you to reflect on how you became the person that you are?
That's interesting because I don't think until I saw some of who I was, maybe through Warren's eyes, he saw me as confident and capable and not taking a lot of his crap. But early on, I think I must have had that quality because I went into job interviews with a sense of humor, a sense of confidence. I don't know where it came from, maybe my childhood of having such dynamic people around me. Or just, you're born with a personality, I suppose. And it was great because it seems like no matter where I went, even with most difficult bosses, I was able to see something in them or touch something in them that was real, and usually had a lot of fun wherever I went. And I don't think I realized, it was a very good question, because I don't think I realized I had that quality until later on. So I'm not sure where it comes from.
Yeah. Well, it goes to, I think, a bigger thing for our audience, Nikki, that sometimes other people can see in us what we don't see in ourselves. You mentioned Warren Beatty, and of course, he does come up in the book, but I want our audience to know this book, as I mentioned in my intro, is so much more than that. But I was saying to you, Nikki, to the point, one of the things that he said that he was impressed with about you is that you didn't take stuff even from him. Like he gave one incident I remember very vividly in the book, where if he's supposed to be there at 9 and it's 9:30, there was a note on the door about rescheduling. So, so let's go to that point, because I think, again, we live in the world today, Nikki, that's interesting. So many people would just do whatever it takes to be able to get in a room with certain individuals, to get the attention of someone. How did you learn to set those boundaries, even with people that you knew had power and influence?
That's a great question. How did I learn that? Because it's funny with the Warren thing. I mean, early on in the book, you can see I pretty much went to all lengths possible to meet him. One, growing up; two, getting a job where he came in. But then those were very self-propelled things. I wasn't being influenced by someone. It was something I wanted and something I went after. I seem to have just had a strange confidence that must have come out of me, because inside, as you can probably tell from the book, there were a lot of doubts and insecurities and feelings of lack of love and longing. So I don't know if I had a public persona and inside lack of, not self-love, but I think I just have an innate sense of who I was, and there were other things that I needed to sort of reconcile with myself or integrate just fully who I am, not what I thought was expected of me.
Right. And it showed up in other ways as well. You mentioned employment. There's another incident in the book where, you got, unwanted advances that, again, readers reading this would say to themselves, it's kind of a precarious situation, right? Because if I don't do this, what will happen to my job? And you didn't even let that fear stop you. Even if, it meant that you had to do other work that was unsavory of cleaning up after things that was going on. When you were writing this, Nikki, did you have moments and you were like, wow, I have done a lot. I have experienced a lot. Was that something that became more aware to you as you were writing the book?
I think because I had so many of these stories and had just sort of told stories to people over the years, and your friends, they pat you on the head, oh, you should write a book. But at a certain point, maybe 12 years ago, I really thought, okay, maybe it is time to write a book. And that's why I took 10 years to think about it, because I knew that the tone was going to be really important. I knew that I would have to dig deeper than telling stories like, then I, met blah, blah, then I slept with this guy, and then I went to this place. It was like, who cares? That's a big snooze. So I think in writing the book, to make it authentic for myself and now ultimately for others, I had to see underneath why was I going for Warren? Why did I keep saying yes to so many opportunities and just show up? And then on the other hand, like you pointed out, shut the door on a situation if it didn't feel right to me. So I think, yeah, as I went through the book, I saw I was a lot stronger when I was young than I thought I was.
Yeah. And I think that's one of the things that readers, again, will appreciate. Wendy Arsad, hello to you over there on Amazon. If you guys have any questions or comments for Nikki, make sure you guys do put those in chat. You bring up, of course, people telling you that you should write a book, Nikki, but now you have complete strangers like myself. You and I hadn't talked before today, who now know so much about you. How does that feel to know now because you talk about it in the book, I just thought about it as I was asking the question, about how in so many situations that you found yourself in, you were still like meeting strangers. Even you mentioned with like your husband, that situation, you still felt like a stranger. Now you have literally complete strangers like me who know so much. How does that feel to know that you become so familiar to us?
Other than the specifics of hearing from a singular person that they've been moved by the book,
Mhm.
I think I was ready to write it, maybe because I'm older and, uh, if you're going to die sooner than later, what can really hurt you at this point? And it wasn't even like I was trying to avoid a hurt. I just wanted to express who I was. Underlying that is maybe something helpful to younger people, that it's real. Nothing is really all that important. No one really gives you that much thought. So I think it was freeing for myself, but also for others to see you can just be exactly who you are. And I think it's important. I don't know how the brains work for younger people that have been brought up on the internet or on, texting all the time. I mean, I text. But the idea of filters and the idea of comparisons, I think that's, at least to me, it's a dangerous loneliness that comes from never knowing if you're getting all these likes for who you actually are. If you've curated yourself so specifically, it's got to cause a loneliness to get attention for that, which isn't you. And not that I went out to get attention. It's been a funny sidebar to find people are so warm to me. And on the flip side, that I am so much more open to people now because there's no energy being spent in protecting myself.
Yeah. You're one of these people who, and I love, again, one of the moments of honesty in the book, Nikki. And we're gonna, of course, remind our audience that's not joining us on Amazon. If you guys are on Facebook, LinkedIn, and YouTube, you'll find the Amazon link there. If you guys joining us on X, you will find it in our comment section there. And of course, for you guys on Amazon, you all can just click. You guys can be able to get. I'll highlight it for you guys. You can get the Kindle edition there for 50% off, or you can be able to get the paperback of the book, or the print edition of the book there, you talk about in the book one of the things I thought was really interesting, and that was, perspective when it comes to others and your work. I mean, here you have, we haven't talked about this part, Nikki, but here you're in Hollywood, a place where, again, people are wanting to make it, wanted to be seen. What was it like for you to reflect on the lives of the people who were there to encourage you, but also to remind you of what was possible?
I think there are so many people along the way that have been so helpful. And, for younger people there, I mean, Hollywood's a little different now, but,
Mhm.
you're really recognized when you're an intern if you do a good job. And I think some people think, this is beneath me, or I need to move up the ladder more quickly. And I think early on, when I just, maybe my work ethic or fear of making a mistake, I worked so much more to understand other people's departments and stay late, I was always there to do whatever was needed of me. And to find that that was recognized and then supported, that producers and bosses knew that I could be recommended for something, I could be counted on. And so there is sort of a relationship between doing your best work for somebody and having them appreciate that. And throughout my years, I think having the confidence of learning from so many people, when I showed up for a job that I knew I would be fine at, then there was room to have some fun and appreciate others and joke around, because the job would get done, but I also could help make it a fun environment.
Yeah. You're one of those people too, and I love the fact, as I was asking that question, you started answering there, Nikki. I thought about a note I've made in chapter 19, the mastery and the groundlings. And one of the things that you talk about in that chapter, that when it comes to doing something new and something unfamiliar, what you wrote I thought was so great, and I think it's a great reminder again for us as individuals. He wrote, "I discovered that no one died, including myself. It was delightful." I think, and what that reminded me of is sometimes when we get out of our own way and just go for things, that there can be great things that happen. There can be
Yeah.
things that we learn about ourselves. What was that like for you to realize that, what may have seemed scary, and sometimes it takes us into uncharted territory, becomes something we actually can appreciate and enjoy?
Yeah, I think the epigraph in the book is from Colette, who also influenced my life, but also influenced when I started writing the book, because she
Mhm.
says, "You will do foolish things, but do them with enthusiasm."
Yeah.
And I mean, right there, you admit we all do foolish things. And if you're going to have a full, rich life, then do them with enthusiasm, because it brings a vibrancy. And I think you could see my resistance in those classes, like, no, 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 I'll just sit over here and be funny privately without having to interact with anyone. And then to
Mhm.
be busted by the teachers and saying, no, this is not about you standing out, this is about you contributing.
Yeah.
And it was, I think, the perfectionist in me, or the person that's always succeeded at some things, thought, well, how dare they question what I'm doing? And then, I had to look at that and realize, no, they know what they're talking about and I don't. So I'm in this class, let's give it a try. And, and that pushed me into a new freedom, a new enthusiastic foolishness.
I love that. I love that. Hello to you, Alfonso. Good to be to see you over there on Facebook. Let's talk about the title of the book. I wanted to say that toward the end because I thought it was interesting as our audience kind of heard bits and pieces of what you share in the book, Nikki. How did you come up with the title Collateral Stardust?
I wish when that came to me, I had written down what came into it, because, sometimes you don't know all the little things that come into your brain. And it might have taken about a year, because I was trying to think of titles, even the subtitle. I went through about 15 different subtitles. But Collateral Stardust, I think I knew, the concept of stardust, as on many levels, that we're just dust ultimately, but stardust, the buzz you get from celebrity. And when someone dies, someone will post, "Oh my god, I saw them at the dry cleaner last week," as if that will bring you some stardust.
Yeah,
Got
yeah.
some. So then I think I thought about that, and the concept of getting that buzz as a bonus from other people, like the collateral stardust of being among the famous, I suppose.
Interesting. So that's so fascinating. So this is why conversations like this are so cool, Nikki, because what I think is so interesting as a reader is that now we are able to take some of the lessons that you've learned and carry them around with us. Did you see that dual meaning with yourself? That you would now be the person that people would say, they would be referencing you, what Nikki went through, what Nikki was able to learn and to achieve, and maybe I can be able to take a bit of that with ourselves.
That would be a wonderful byproduct. Someone recently said that her daughter was an eating disorder unit, had a horrible bulimic problem, and she's giving her the book. And I thought, gosh, that would be such a blessing if she could read that the chapter and relate and know that someone's been in her shoes, and also that you can get through it. And I'm not here to tell people how to do anything,
Right.
but that it's possible. So those kinds of things really move me, and I didn't set out to be a lesson guidebook for anyone, and so that's been a side bonus that's really been moving to me.
Yeah. I mean, I just thought about when you gave that example, even when you talk about alcoholism, right?
Hmm.
You're very careful in the way the book is written to not try to place the blame on anyone, even though you reference individuals in your family that would drink,
Yeah.
not saying that that's the reason why that that you may have taken a certain path at one time. I think little things like that, I think also will help the reader as they're getting to know you also think about themselves. So with that being said, then when people do pick up Collateral Stardust, Nikki, what is your hope that they do remember? Maybe it's people who never knew you before reading the book. What do you hope they're able to take away from it?
Uh, well, just real briefly, Cyrus, what you just said about now I'll completely forget what you just said.
No, it's
Uh,
okay.
um, I, 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 they'll people will take what they take from it. And what you said was about like victimhood, and it was very important for me when I was working on the tone to not make this anything about being a victim. And I think that the way out of feeling like a victim is to see what your part is, or if it's not your part. I mean, my parents, by the end, I can see that they were given what they were given. And
Right.
it's a lazy way to keep yourself from growing, to keep
Mhm.
blaming a situation that is no longer happening. It may be difficult, but I really don't want to live a life of victimhood. And that way you don't judge every person you meet as a possible enemy, as a possible causer of pain. Nobody is. Once you're able to see the facets of yourself, you can see them in others, and then blame doesn't take hold. So maybe thoughts like that, ways of opening our eyes to others. It's a fraught time with people taking stances, and maybe if we saw what motivated ourselves, we'd have the tool to see what motivates others.
hmm I totally agree. I totally agree. So I think, with that being said, then, Nikki, a book like this, I mean, of course, it allows us to get to see a lot of your lessons, of course, again, with Warren Beatty, also the things that kind of took place around that. We kind of tease them enough about that part. But I think also just in being able to think about the own impact that they're able to make. And that's why, for me, the title really stands out because I think a lot of times we don't think about the ripple effect that we can be a part of in the lives of others, and being able to show people what's possible definitely I think is one thing, but also the importance of standing up for oneself, as we talked about, going after one's goals and dreams, but also being willing to learn. I think those are things for myself as a reader that definitely come out. Again, everyone, Collateral Stardust is the book for you guys over on the Amazon side. You all can get it in print or the Kindle edition there. You can one click it for only $9.99. Go ahead and start reading it today. Nikki Nash, again, is our guest. Nikki, this was a great conversation, and I told you the time would fly by. How can our audience still stay connected with you?
I'm on some socials, but I think the quickest and easiest way is my website, which is nikkinash.com, nikkinash.com, because my books are there. You could read the first 3 chapters of Collateral Stardust, some paintings, whatever. It's all on nikkinash.com.
All right. And you all can look forward to a poem in the book, too. I didn't talk about it with you guys. You guys Nikki and I discussed it before we went live, so you guys could be able to enjoy her, being able to analyze that in the book too. Nikki, great conversation with you. Thank you so much for the time, and looking forward to chatting with you again.
Thank you, Cyrus. Thanks for having me.
Glad to do it. And we thank your audience for tuning in to another great segment of Cyrus Webb Presents. Until next time, you all make it a great one. We'll talk to you soon. Take care.